Call this meeting to order. Roll call, Anna.
Commissioner Butcher?
Here.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Here.
Commissioner Gandy?
Here.
And Mayor Trujillo?
Here. Commissioner Gandy will lead us in prayer as well as pledge.
We join in prayer. Throne Father, Lord, we just thank you for this absolutely beautiful day without rain. Lord, I sure missed the sunshine. I did enjoy it today. Lord, we just thank you for the rain we have received. And Lord, we thank you for the rain that looks like we will receive. Again, Lord, we just thank you for your blessings upon this community, past blessings, present blessings, and blessings to come. Lord, I just pray that you would be with this council as we lead and guide this community. I pray that the decisions we make benefit our citizens in a positive way. Lord, I pray for your watchful arm and hand over our employees. Lord, keep them safe, keep them aware of their surroundings. Lord, I just thank you for our first responders. Lord, keep them out of harm's way. Keep them safe as they try to help others. Lord, again, I just thank you for this community and the wonderful citizens that live in it. Lord, I just pray for each one of them that they may prosper in this community, that we may be a growing place for them. Lord, again, we thank you for your son Jesus who died on the cross. And Lord, I just pray that you would lead us to do what's right. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico as the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Amen. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll second that.
A motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have another motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider the minutes of October 8th, 2018.
Second. Had a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Commissioner and staff report that you want to speak for White, James, or just are we good to go?
Yes, Mayor Commissioners, the only thing that I have to report is, well, hopefully our IPR treatments will begin this Thursday, but weather permitting, that's what's delayed it the past 2 weeks. So I'm waiting to hear back from the contractor to find out if they are in fact going to start up on the schedule that was initially presented, or they start working on that Thursday, but I'll know tomorrow, and we'll definitely send out a press release as soon as we get an update on that.
We still have any issues with the cemetery, with people getting over there? Or we
Well, Mayor Commissioners, they actually had the gates closed today because they were at a point in the construction where there wasn't access to the cemetery, but they should hopefully be opening that back up soon to where we can allow access back to it. It's just the report that we got today was just the construction wasn't going to allow for entrance into there, but we didn't have any services planned out there.
I think, you know, in the near future, I mean, there's something, since we have the property to the east of that, maybe have another access eventually, you know, something we can plan in the future. Right. That way we just don't have one single access. It's just in case we have a funeral scheduled that day, and they're going across country as well. So, something to look at. Thank you. Any other questions? Gary?
Mayor and Commission, I have nothing new to report.
Any questions by the Commission? No, I remember. Jaylen?
Nothing new to report, sir.
Anna?
Nothing to report, sir.
Commissioner? Commissioner?
I was going to address, I guess, James, I was going to see, are we in the process or going to do that on East K and Love? I mean, from Love to East K, you know, where the railroad tracks are going to the city dump? Or is that on our agenda?
Yes, sir. Mayor Commissioners, one of the things that we are working on, we've actually issued a purchase order to Ramirez and Sons to fix the actual railroad crossing. That's the worst part.
Yes.
The way that works is the railroad company splits 50% of that particular cost. As far as reconstruction of the rest of the road, that will come later. That's not going to occur in this particular fiscal year. The only holdup on that is just waiting for the railroad company to submit their half of the purchase order to Ramirez.
That hole's pretty big there.
Yes, sir.
Tracks. I fell in it today.
We've actually been working on that for about 4 or 5 weeks now. It's a matter of waiting on paperwork to get to the contractor. Our portion is finished.
Okay, thank you.
Right. James, I had two things, and I probably should have mentioned earlier when talking about Wyatt. On Main Street in Jefferson, you know how we continue to have potholes for years and years? When we're doing that construction, can try to help remind me and probably our staff that if we can widen the base of that with more concrete to the left and right, up to the north and south of it. You know, it has that channel, water always channels through that area, and it has like what, about a 5 foot section of concrete. Maybe add additional 5 feet in front of that and as well as behind it, because there's always potholes there. I mean, it's been, for as long as I've known, there's always a pothole there. Even after I remember last time when they redid the road, and that was 10 years ago, soon after they had a pothole.
I think, Mayor and Commissioners, we'd have to look at the plans, but I believe that actually that valley gutter is going to be removed because it'll be replaced with underground drainage. So all of that drainage, I have to check and see what their preliminary designs called out for. But it's my understanding that a lot of those valley gutters are going to be gone.
Oh, okay. So that'll help it all the way around. That's been the problem.
Because that is, if I remember correctly, that is part of that phase 1 that the state had designed.
Okay, super. I'd also like to recognize Martin. I know he's not here with us this evening, but I appreciate, on behalf of the commissioners, we all appreciate his contributions to the city and so forth. And we apologize, all of us. I don't know if anybody was able to attend, but we also apologize for not attending as well today. But let him know that we all really appreciate it. We did recognize him this evening. Thank you. Commissioner?
The only thing I had is, James, thank you for calling the state on the 4 street lights there, Avenue D, and the dark spot of the missing glowing arches. But one of them is still out.
That's an interesting story.
Okay.
They're still trying to determine whose light that actually is. So 3 out of 4. It was a breaker that had tripped that we found and went ahead and it checked out fine. We're still trying to find out if it's the light sensor and if it's DOT's responsibility or whose responsibility is for the actual light, even though it's on their pole. So we're still going back and forth on that.
Well, that's fine. The 3 made a big difference down there, Jimmy. I do appreciate that. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chief?
Nothing to report, sir.
Chief?
Nothing to report, sir.
James?
Okay. Mayor and Commissioners, just a reminder to you all and the public that Monday is the groundbreaking for the 17th Street Station. We'll have it out at the site 3:30, so please attend. Invite those you want.
Patrick?
Nothing to report, sir.
Thank you. Going on to public comment. Anybody want to go ahead?
Hi, my name is Betty Price. I have a problem. I sit at Taylor Middle School and wait for my grandson every day. The traffic comes flying through there, even though there is a flashing light. I don't think they see it because semis, trucks, everything comes flying through there. And when the kids start crossing, they pray. And you hear the truck screeching to a stop. It needs to be fixed because the way it sits, you can't see it. And that traffic is getting worse every day. And I got one more.
No.
Who would put a light on Avenue R and 17th Street? A dead man's curb.
What kind of light?
The light?
Some kind of street light.
Oh, just to show.
It is so dark. And you got semis coming around there like wild people.
I don't know, would that be our responsibility, James?
It would be our responsibility.
You know, I think we thought
Because
about that.
The light stops at the Avenue R apartments, and then the next one is at Avenue M. So that whole curve is just dark.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was mentioning this to James here a couple of
It was last week, actually.
Last week, I don't know when it was. But we have several dark spots in town, and he had mentioned something on 17th, but I was thinking one end of 17th, he's thinking the other end of 17th, so we had some confusion there. But there's several areas that we probably need to address at some time.
That one is really bad at night.
And I do have to agree with you, because I came through there about midnight Saturday night, and
You get run over.
well, it's just really dark, and you're going through that corner, so it does leave a little bit to be desired there.
I think remember that home that used to be there used to be lit up pretty good. Keep it lit up for a while. Right there on, I don't even know if it's still there anymore. Right there.
There still has it, but they don't
Yeah.
have street
Yeah,
lights.
remember they used, but they had some pole lights out there around their house.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Out there, okay.
But no, we
Barry
definitely
Hobbs' house used to have a street light.
Okay. I think it did, yeah, it did.
Okay,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? Please state your name.
I'm Chief Jackson with Tatum Police Department, and I came in because my brother is Bernard Butcher, and just to see, you know, how you all run y'all's, you know, y'all's Monday night meeting. Our meeting is a little bit different. Patrick can tell you that, but anyway, that's why I'm here.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Commissioners. Just wanted to remind you guys that we have Halloween on the Plaza this Saturday from 3 to 7 p.m. It'll take place in front of the theater. We have a bunch of new activities this year. We're going to be doing our standard, you know, kids can come get candy from all the local businesses that are participating. And we will also be having some fall harvest games so that the kids can come play. We'll have cornhole, a pet costume contest, and an adult costume contest as well this year. And we'll have a DJ out there. So definitely bring everybody out, and then we'll hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Good evening, Leslie Bolt with the Chamber. In case you didn't have anything else to do, we have a ribbon cutting on Tuesday for Mary's Western Decor located in the Lovington Square at 4 o'clock. So we're always excited when new businesses open, if you would like to come celebrate with us. We also have Steve Pierce coming in on Tuesday, October 30th, from 11:30 to 12:30 at the Chamber offices for a meet and greet. So he will be here on Tuesday. The groundbreaking Monday, also Halloween, we have a business safe stop list that a lot of our businesses are participating in. That's all the announcements I have. I would like to introduce one of our member businesses. This is the general manager of the Lovington Inn, Becky Inge. She is going to say a couple words to the council, if that's okay. Let me introduce you to Becky.
Good evening. And she said my name right, so we were practicing that before we got in. Yes, my name is Becky Inge. I am the bar and restaurant manager of Dusty's Bar and Grill, located at Lovington Inn. I just wanted to express my support for Sunday sales by the drink because I believe it will be an economic boost for the city of Lovington. I believe we lose out on Sundays as a community due to people traveling to Hobbs to eat, and just speaking from a business who has the capability to serve Lovington. I know Dusty's is trying to change in many ways, which includes providing lunch and dinner hour options, and having these Sunday sales would be beneficial. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron Bright. I just wanted to say that little lady from the Hobbs News Sun, she can sit up in front up here, because John don't bite.
I don't know, I already know.
He's safe.
Anybody else? Okay, moving on to non-action items. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, as we discussed at our last City Commission meeting, to have a non-action item to discuss the local option for Sunday sales. In your Novus agenda packet, you actually have copies of the state statute that identifies the process that Lovington would need to follow in order to adopt this. So we did look up different statistics. I had Chief Rodriguez research the CAPER system as far as the number of alcohol-related incidents. The only one that is not really clear would be your domestic violence cases, and that's all domestic violence cases. And you can see our stats going back to 2015. As far as the number of DWIs, these are individuals who are charged, open containers, minor in possession, and of course domestic violence cases. In addition to that, what happens is NMSA 6077A-1, it does allow for, or that actually sets the amount of, or the time and days of the week that you can sell. And you should note that on Sundays you can sell after midnight of the previous day until 2 a.m. except as provided in subsections D and F of this. Subsection D actually, it allows an individual to obtain a permit to sell or serve or permit the consumption of alcoholic beverages by the drink on Sundays subject to approval found in subsection F. What subsection F basically says is that Sunday sales are permitted in a local option district that voted to permit them. So what this means is that in order for buy the drink sales to occur in Lovington, you do have to have a special election in which the voters actually vote. It takes more than just commission action. The last special election we had revolving around local options in regards to the Alcohol Control Act was back in September of 2012, and this was when we enacted the beer and restaurant wine license option. At that time, Sunday sales was not considered a question on the ballot. So in order to have a special election, actually NMSA 5A-1 sets that essentially registered electors of the proposed local option district may create a petition. And what this means is that individuals who reside within the city limits of Lovington, those are the qualified electors. And essentially you have to have at least 5% of voters. For the census, as of 10/10 of 18, we're looking at 5,082 voters, registered voters within the city limits of Lovington. That number may have changed a little bit due to the last-minute registration drive that they had for the election coming up. But essentially, you have to get 5% of those 5,082 voters to sign a petition that asks the question, would you allow buy the drink sales within the city of Lovington as a local option. The key component of this is that 3 months from the date of from the date of the first signature to the date of the last signature cannot exceed 3 months, or else it's considered invalid, and you have to start the process back over again. In addition to that, we're looking at, of course, we have a general election coming up. And if someone were to turn in that petition, we couldn't have that. However, you have to hold that within 60 days of that election if they do submit that actual petition. Whenever they submit the petition to the city clerk will work with the county to ensure the validity of each registered voter's signature, and then that petition will be submitted to the city commission, who then by a resolution would call for a special election for this. Our last special election that we had for this particular issue, it cost about $3,800. So that's everything from paying the panel of individuals who run the election to actual preparation of those ballots.
So James, any questions from the board? I'm sorry.
So you said actually before any of this can take place, we need to get the votes in the 5,000 or whatever before the commission can decide on whether we're going to approve that or not.
Correct. If individuals in Lovington would like to have this option, they would need to circulate a petition, and it's like 250 some odd signatures that they would have to get at a minimum. It's 5% of the total of the voters, which of course that number will be updated. That information can actually be obtained from the county clerk who maintains the registration rolls. But they have to be signatures of individuals who are voters who reside in Lovington. So if you live outside, you can sign it, but your signature on that petition wouldn't count. It has to be Lovington voters who actually sign that petition. Once that petition, they think that they've got the number of signatures that they need, then they submit that to the city clerk, who then goes through the verification process. Once the signatures are verified, then the petitions are submitted to the city commission, which then they would call for the special election by resolution.
So also, on their behalf, it most likely would be wise for them not to start a petition till after the general election. Come
Yes, sir.
2 weeks from now. That way, if it's just 3,000 have shown to votes, and it's 5% of the 3,000 instead of 5% of 5,000. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Good. Any other questions about the board? Thank you, Gene.
Sir.
All right. Moving forward to action items. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolutions 2018-105, authorizing an agreement between the city and Desert Peaks Architects for construction, administration, and post-occupancy services for the 17th Street Fire Station. Second.
Got a motion second. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, this is merely a matter of paperwork. WDG Architects was the firm that we engaged to plan and design the fire station. The owners of that firm have decided to cease operations. However, the principal or the architect of record who actually designed this project has formed his own architecture firm, Desert Peak Architects. In order for us to have the construction management component that was budgeted for, as well as post-occupancy set up, they have agreed to take on the remaining balance of the actual contract that we had in place. They were going to honor the existing amount. Gary and I did visit with our auditor. As this is a unique situation, we made the determination that we would do a sole source procurement. This particular contract and agreement's been posted on the Sunshine Portal. 30 days will elapse on the 29th of this month, and what this resolution does is that on the 29th, it gives me the authority to go ahead and execute the new contract or new agreement with Desert Peak Architects, so we don't have any delays.
Everybody good? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Since the original people that were going to do this work, they're not going to do it, right? The original people that
Correct.
got this contract, they're not going to do it.
Correct.
So then their architect or whoever is their spokesman is going to take over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Would that be legal? Wouldn't he have to have a license
No,
for that
he's-
special project again because they've already done away with the original one? He has to get a license for this himself.
No, Mayor and Commissioners, the architect, Joseph Fullmeyer, he actually was the one who worked for WDG Architects. He is a licensed architect. He doesn't have to get any additional construction permits or anything. He's actually listed as the architect of record. He's signed off on the plans. The owner of WDG Architects has decided to cease operations, and instead of going through the process of finding another architect, Joseph has started up his own firm, and we are just basically assigning the remaining and unpaid portion of that contract for this project to Desert Peak, which our architect of record is currently working for.
Patrick, you feel comfortable with that?
Well, I think as long as we have something from an entity that's going out of business saying, yeah, we're going out of business, we're not able to finish providing the service that we were contractually obligated to, and we don't have an opposition to this other entity stepping in and then receiving, payment of a certain amount from this time. And I think
We do have that, yes.
Yeah, like a subcontractor or something like that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure they don't
Yeah.
make a claim to the whole amount or a different amount, but I think we've got that covered.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, try that again. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2018-106, temporary street closure, block party permit, October 27th for the Halloween on the plaza.
I'll second that.
Motion second, James.
Mayor Commissioners, this is our annual street closure request for Halloween on the Plaza. They are requesting to close Central off for the event from Main Street to actually the east side of Love Street to accommodate the safety of pedestrians in this event.
Any questions by the board? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for resolution 218-107, approve the TPS Broadband LLC franchise renewal agreement.
Second.
Had a motion, second, James?
Mayor and Commissioners, as you know, back in 2016, TDS assumed the cable franchise authority from Comcast. We entered into a franchise agreement at that time. The current agreement expires in February of 2019, and they have requested renewal of this. It's the same terms and conditions that were set by a franchise agreement that was adopted back in 2004. So this is essentially renewing this agreement.
Any questions by the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion to consider resolution 218-108, authorizing and approving submission of a completed application for financial assistance and project approval to the New Mexico Finance Authority.
Second.
Had a motion, second, James?
Mayor and Commissioners, part of our plan, if you remember back in, I believe it was March, or maybe it was January, when we discussed the construction of the new fire station, we also discussed the requirement that we have an aerial apparatus for our fire department. This is based on certain equipment and apparatus and capabilities that the fire department must have to maintain their ISO rating, which has an impact on homeowner and commercial insurance rates. Based on our community demographic, as far as the number of buildings that exceed a certain height, we are required to have this. We've actually had this requirement since 2005. The apparatus that we did receive from the Hobbs Fire Department is no longer serviceable. It's not cost feasible to actually bring this up to current safety requirements. So this particular pumper, as we had discussed, it's a 100-foot aerial apparatus. It's actually lightweight. This particular one would actually be one of the first of its kind in New Mexico, but the contract price on this is pretty steep. It's $1.3 million. There is an 18-month build time that is required, and we actually will be reviewing the plan of debt service on this through an NMFA bond, which right now interest rates, since we had last talked, and interest rates are more than likely going to continue to go up, but a 15-year note, because this truck will actually last longer than 15 years, it'd be 3.79%. Our maximum annual debt service is $129,000. The way that this would be financed, though, and there's some supplemental information as far as bond financing in your packet, but in a nutshell, what this means is that a portion of this payment would be paid for through the State Fire Protection Fund that we get every year, with the remaining balance set off by our general fund. Right now, the State Fire Protection Fund, it can only be used for operations to exclude salary and benefits. We receive about $84,000 right now because of our Class 4 single station fire department, of which we are only able to obligate about $30,000 to $33,000 of that towards a truck or an aerial apparatus. We're waiting on some additional documentation from the State Fire Marshal that will allow us to do this, which we don't anticipate any problems. But once we bring the second fire station online, that will actually increase our funding, annual funding, which we wouldn't receive until fiscal year 2021, to about $168,000 a year. Now that's based on if we do not improve our ISO 4. If we go to a Class 3 or even a Class 2, which would be just wonderful, it would actually increase our State Fire Protection Fund, which would increase the amount that we could use for debt service. This first particular plan does take into account the current fire station and then the 17th Street Fire Station being in service. That would actually cause our, actually in 2020, we would have the most impact to our general fund. However, if you recall, we did have an increase in our mutual service or multiple services agreement with Lee County, where we, for the past decade, received $240,000 a year, which provides for county resident access to fire, ambulance, police, our library, senior citizens. The county has increased that by 60,000, so that actually decreases the overall impact to our general fund. Once we bring that second station online, you can see that we actually have additional funds in the State Fire Protection Fund that we can actually, this 24,000 that can be obligated towards additional operational expenses, or you can actually replace, or you can request carryover from the state to where you would essentially put that into, I guess you would say, a savings account for capital asset replacement, such as any air packs, any of your capital assets, such as fire trucks, to where you can actually buy those without having to finance that equipment. Another thing that we did discuss when we initially were talking about this particular project is that once we get the second station brought online, the old Holiday swimming pool site is actually right now, it's really a storage yard, but the long-term plan was to turn that into a fire department administration and training facility. Now it's considered an administrative building because the State Fire Marshal's Office doesn't recognize any grant funding eligible for a training facility. You have to actually consider it an administrative building, which it gets funded at the same level as a main fire station. So what that would mean is once we make that investment to improve it, put phone lines in, do some remodeling that should not cost a substantial amount, we would actually be receiving over $250,000 in state fire protection funds every year, hopefully by fiscal year 2022, which actually increases the amount of debt service loading. We can obligate up to $90,000 of that towards the fire truck debt service, reducing the overall impact to our general fund, and also allowing us to establish the rollover account where we can do capital asset replacement or purchase. So what this resolution does tonight is it allows us to submit that application to the New Mexico Finance Authority. And more than likely, if this is approved tonight, this will actually go before their board of directors at their November meeting, which I believe is the 10th or 11th up in Albuquerque.
And if approved, we're looking at what, maybe a 20-year payback you were saying?
No, it would be a 15-year payment plan, and thank you, Commissioner Butcher, for bringing that up. The way that this deal is structured is that at the 10-year mark, we have the ability to go ahead and pay off the truck. We're obligated to make those payments for the first 10 years, and then if we would like to, we have the ability to pay off any remaining balance on that 11th year.
How high would that ladder go?
100 feet, sir.
100 feet. We got anything 100 feet here?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Or house or whatever?
Yes, sir. Our previous boom was
75 feet.
75-foot truck, yes, sir.
Are you going to be the first one to try it, Art?
Yeah.
Have at it.
I'll do it.
We are taking out a fire chief's check, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Check. Just double checking. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for Resolution 2018-09, approval of vacate 13 feet of public right-of-way on the west side of Northeast Street between Washington Avenue and Adams Avenue.
Second.
Had a motion, second, James?
Mayor, Commissioners, just to the north of the new judicial complex site, the county is going to be building a parking lot, and they would like to put in a nice fence. They have requested that we vacate 13 feet of right-of-way along East Street, in which they would actually build the fence, but also install ADA accessible sidewalk and ramps. This did go to our Planning and Zoning Commission. They have no issues with it. There are no utilities there that would have to be relocated, and they're recommending approval of the vacation.
Any questions?
Yeah, how much is that gonna cost? They're gonna redo stuff?
That will all be the responsibility of Lee County, yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, Resolution 2018-110, authority to purchase real property adjacent to Harold Reynolds softball complex.
Second.
Your motion is second, James.
Mayor and Commissioners, we've been offered the opportunity to this section in blue, which is located to the east of the Harold Reynolds softball complex. That owner, it's right around just a little over half an acre. It is kind of landlocked. There is no access to it. They have offered this property to us for $1,500. The planned improvement for this is to allow for the expansion of additional parking at the facility. And this resolution will allow, authorize the purchase of this particular property.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we consider accounts payable.
Second.
Had a motion second. Gary?
If I may, your mayor and commission, in the interest of not bogging us down with everything, I'll hit over the items that are basically 5,000 or more. So on our first page, the Four River equipment expenditure for $9,114 was essentially to replace the cylinders on the hydraulic part of a backhoe that our street department has at the convenience station. And then below that, the next item that's in excess is Ben E. Keith Amarillo. That's standard expenditures for food products at our senior program. However, in this case, we paid a couple of months worth all at once. And then if we go down to the Harmeyer Electric for the $9,766.97, we had the need to get some wiring done for our wastewater treatment. They needed to rewire this pivot switch that goes out to this field where we spray all of our wastewater.
Gary.
Yes, sir.
Bob's, 9,000.
Bob's?
Should have Bob's Thriftway.
Bob's Thriftway, 9,000.
Oh, let's take a look at that one. I don't even see Bob's on there. B.O.
B.O.B.
Did you get best business as well? Did you capture that?
Huh.
Yeah.
Forgive me, it's not showing up on this.
Best Buy.
Yeah, it had a Best Buy business for 5. And then,
Yes, now the
Bob's
Best
for 9.
Buy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip that. That was the 3 more computers for the youth center STEAM lab.
$5,000 for 3 computers.
Yeah, that's right.
Laptops or desks?
I didn't ask.
That's actually expenses related to the STEAM lab at the youth center. They're desktops.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And then you had a Bob's Thriftway right there for 9,000.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about Bob's Thriftway because that's such a variety of expenditures related to the different departments and their needs. So I, short of going.
It just seemed kind of odd. So, not that it's not odd.
Oh, okay.
Just caught me off guard. I mean, we've had bills from them before pretty steep, but that one just seemed really big, so.
We can get the detail for that.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
And then as we go down, let me see where I left off at Harmeyer. So on the same page, we go down to the, well, Higginbothams for $8,000, but the $15,000, it's $15,714 to James Cook and Hobson. That's related to the 9th and Jefferson Street replacement of 2 pumps. That's what this is the purchase of the 2 pumps. And then when you flip the page, you'll see that, I think it was Odessa Pump and Equipment. We spent another $20,000 for them to actually rehab the lift station. So those are both related to each other. And then, of course, we have our cleaning service with Clean Tech. That's kind of a standard bill for cleaning all the office buildings and office space. And then the Lee County Electric bill, pretty standard for all of our facilities as well.
Power Ford?
I'm sorry, what?
Power Ford?
The Power Ford is for our water department. It's to replace one of the vehicles that they said were too old.
No problem, thank you.
It's a half-ton vehicle.
Yeah, I was right. Okay, I remember now.
We got one here that says Internal Revenue Service for 60,000 something odd dollars.
Yes, sir. This is a combination of things. That as a rule, the Internal Revenue Service, we're talking some payroll-related taxes that we have to pay. The IRS after each payroll. And the 60,000 is when you have a large payroll is not unusual.
What, we were paying them or what?
No, we just normally did it through the payroll process. In this case, it went through the payables process.
I'll say that because I hadn't seen anything on the Internal Revenue.
It had to do with the way that we were paying them before versus how it was happening in this particular case. As a rule, when it's a payroll-related expenditure, we don't usually bring it to the commission to let you know about that.
Well, I'd like to know.
You know what I'm finding is my report I was given by my payables clerk doesn't have those details on there. Forgive me. So on the next page, we have well, I already mentioned the Odessa pump and equipment for the $20,000. But then below that was where the half-ton Ford was purchased, the $24,000. And then below that, the professional ambulance sales for the $16,843 is just repairs for one of our ambulances. And then as we cruise down, let me see, the next thing that's over $5,000 is the SWAT IT. We had our server crashed here at City for the city, and we had to replace it, and that's what that expenditure is for. And then below that, with the travelers, the $5,172 is really related to representation for police officers. And then, of course, the waste management down at the bottom, the $41,000 is a standard kind of monthly expense that we have, primarily for roll-offs in this case. And then the last item that's worth mentioning on the last page is that Work System Incorporated. Our code enforcement invested in a new software to help them for tracking all of the code permits, all of their zoning, and dealing with animal control. Do you have any other questions?
Well, I was going to back up on that new power Ford. I missed that. Who was due for a new Ford or vehicle? Where did that come from?
That's water fund money that was paid for our water department.
So it's actually just water.
Yeah, just the water department. Yes, sir.
Power Ford.
That's who the
Company
who they
was.
bought it from.
Just a company.
And
Okay.
that's
I
through our
missed that.
Permian Ford.
Okay.
our state purchasing agreement.
All right. Thank you.
I got one.
Yes, sir.
$38,000 for the taxation and revenue department.
That would be a gross receipt tax payment. On all the monies that we collect for different items, we have to pay our gross receipt tax as well.
Did we get any back?
Well, yeah, that's what we get, that we live on.
Okay.
Any questions by the board? Good, Art?
I'm good.
You good, Art? Are you good to go? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to go closed session pursuant to section 10-15-1 NMSA 1978 subsection H8 regarding the purchase, acquisition, or disposition of real property or water rights.
Second that.
Got a motion second, roll call in.
Did you get that?
Commissioner Gandy,
Aye.
Commissioner Butcher,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Aye.
Mayor Trujillo.
Aye. We are now in closed session.
make a motion to go back into regular session. The matters stated in closed session were limited only to those specified in the motion for closure, and no action was taken.
Second.
Got a motion second, roll call in.
Commissioner Sanchez? Commissioner Gandy?
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
And Mayor Trujillo?
Yes. James, did you have anything else you want to state?
No, sir, I'm good.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion for adjourn.
Second.
A motion second. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.